The stars burned like cold fire across the endless black. For centuries, the Zelyrians, a proud alien race known for their beauty, intelligence, and power, ruled the Orion Belt. Their empire stretched across 50 systems, and no one dared challenge them. Until now, the first human ship appeared without warning. A small vessel, old, scratched, and nothing compared to the shining war fleets of Zelyria. The aliens laughed when they saw it. Their commanders called it a mistake, a lost freighter from a dying world. But within hours, that single human ship destroyed a Zelyrian patrol squadron. No one could explain how. Reports spread fast. Every fleet captain received the same strange message from the human vessel. We didn't come to bow. We came to end this. At first, the Zelyrian Council dismissed it. Humans were still a young species, barely 200 years into space travel. What could they possibly do against an empire that had ruled for 1,000 generations? But deep down, the young princess, Aralya of the Silver Crown, felt something she had never felt before. Doubt. Aralya was not only royalty. She was a warrior. Her armor shimmered with blue light, alive with ancient power. She had never lost a battle. Her people called her the Starblade of Zelyria. To her, humans were primitive, emotional creatures, reckless, unrefined. When the High Council ordered her to lead the counterattack against the human fleet, she smiled. Finally, she said, "Let us end this nonsense," but the humans didn't fight like any race she had known. They moved in silence. No transmission, no panic. Every ship of theirs fought as if it already knew the outcome. Their strategy was unpredictable, chaotic, yet perfect. Within 2 days, the humans had destroyed 3 Zelyrian outposts. Not with massive weapons, but with precision strikes. They seemed to know exactly where to hit. Communication centers, energy cores, shield generators. It was as if they could see the battle before it began. Aralya grew angry. They are just humans. How do they do this? Her second-in-command, Commander Vareth, whispered, "Perhaps they've evolved faster than we expected." "Impossible," she replied. "We are the peak of creation." Still, that night she stood alone in her chamber watching the stars. The holographic map glowed before her eyes, red marks spreading like fire through the sectors that once belonged to her empire. Then came the strange transmission, encrypted, human origin. Only one sentence, "Princess Aralya. We are coming for you." She froze. How could they know her name? Her location? Her fleet's position was hidden behind 3 layers of cloaking grids. Moments later, alarm screamed through the command bridge. A small human strike team had breached Zelyria's primary defense ring, a thing that was thought impossible. The images came through the main screen. Humans in black armor moving like shadows, cutting through security drones as if they were paper. Aralya ordered the defense cannons to fire. But somehow every shot missed. Every trap failed. The humans moved faster, smarter, as if the entire war was just a game to them. By dawn, they were gone. They left nothing behind but a message carved into the metal wall of the station. "You started this war. Now face the human you mocked." Aralya clenched her fists. This human. Whoever he is, I will find him myself. Her council warned her not to go. They said it was a trap. But she didn't care. Her pride burned brighter than reason. For her, this was personal. The next morning, she prepared her flagship in the solar spear. Its wings glowed silver blue as it sliced through the upper atmosphere. Her army followed her into space, ready for vengeance. Far away on a lonely planet hidden in the dust rings of Vega, a single human watched her ships depart. His name was Captain Elias Grant, once a soldier, now something far more dangerous. He looked at the hologram of Aralya's face. "She thinks she's hunting me," he said quietly. "But she doesn't know. The real war hasn't even begun." He closed the transmission and walked toward the shadows of his command deck. Outside, the human fleet began to awaken, thousands of ships powered by silent reactors, waiting for his signal, and when he spoke, every human captain heard the same words. "Let's show them what it means to challenge humanity." The stars trembled. The War of Pride had just begun. The sky above Zelyria burned crimson as the royal fleet prepared for war. Giant battle cruisers hovered over the capital city, their silver hulls reflecting the twin suns. Soldiers stood in perfect formation, their armor shining like liquid metal. The air was filled with the hum of engines and tension. Princess Aralya stood on the command bridge of her flagship, Solar Spear. Her blue eyes glowed with determination. She had sworn to end this human threat once and for all. Around her, officers moved quickly, reporting positions and energy levels. "Target the human outpost near Vega Prime," she ordered coldly. "No survivors." Her words echoed through the command deck. No one dared question her. To the Zelyrians, she was not just a princess. She was a living legend. But deep inside, beneath the pride and anger, a strange feeling stirred within her. Doubt. She had seen the recordings of the last encounter, humans moving through defenses like ghosts. It didn't make sense. They had no advanced technology, yet they fought with impossible precision. Still, Aralya believed in her power. She believed that sheer force could crush any opponent. The fleet jumped into hyperspace. Light stretched into endless lines, and then the ships burst back into real space above Vega Prime. The planet below was quiet. Too quiet. There were no signs of human ships, no defense satellites, nothing. Just clouds and silence. "Scanners show no human presence," said Commander Vareth. "It could be a trap." Aralya smiled slightly. "Then we'll walk into it and crush them from within." The fleet descended. Dozens of silver ships entered the planet's thin atmosphere. Dust storms swirled across the surface as their engines roared. But when they reached the surface, the scanners detected something unexpected. Human buildings, small and rough, but empty. Every structure looked abandoned. Aralya stepped out of her shuttle with her elite guards. The air was cold and dry. The ground was covered with strange metal patterns. Marks burned into the sand, symbols of some kind. "What is this?" one soldier asked. Vareth crouched down, touching the surface. "It's a warning," he said, in human language. Aralya knelt to see it more clearly. The words glowed faintly. "Too slow, princess." Before she could speak, the ground shook violently. From the cliffs around them, explosions erupted. Human drones, small and fast, appeared out of nowhere, firing plasma bursts. The Zelyrian guards tried to fight back, but the attacks came from every direction. "Shields up! Form a perimeter!" Aralya shouted. The battle raged for minutes. The humans never appeared in person, only machines controlled remotely, attacking with perfect timing. Every Zelyrian who tried to advance was hit instantly. "Who are we fighting?" shouted one of the captains. "Where are they?" "They're watching," Aralya said through clenched teeth. "They want us to feel this." Suddenly the drone fire stopped. Smoke filled the battlefield. The wind howled softly through the ruins. Then through the haze, a single human figure walked forward. Tall, calm, unarmed. He wore dark combat armor that looked simple but carried strange glowing lines. His face was hard, his eyes cold. Captain Elias Grant. Aralya raised her plasma blade. "So you're the one who hides behind machines." Elias stopped a few steps away. "You came to my world, princess. I only defended it." "This is no defense," she said sharply. "This is cowardice," he smiled faintly. "Cowardice?" He brought an army to fight one man. The silence between them felt heavier than the air. Around them soldiers watched, weapons ready but frozen. Aralya stepped closer. "You think you can stop an empire, human?" Elias looked up at the Zelyrian ships burning slowly in the sky. "I already have." Before she could react, his armor shimmered. And then multiple energy readings spiked across the battlefield. Dozens of human ships uncloaked above them. Small, agile, deadly. Each ship aimed directly at the solar spear. "Princess, our sensors!" Vareth shouted. But the sky had already turned into a storm of light. Missiles streaked downward. The ground trembled as explosions ripped through the Zelyrian ranks. The solar spear's shields flickered. Aralya tried to call for a retreat, but communication lines were jammed. The humans had taken control of their signal frequencies. "Fall back to orbit," she ordered. "Now!" Her guards pulled her toward the shuttle, but before boarding, she looked back one last time. Elias Grant was still standing there, untouched by the chaos, his expression unreadable. As the shuttle rose, their eyes met for a second. No words were spoken, but both understood something. This was only the beginning. When the solar spear escaped the planet's atmosphere, half of the fleet was gone. The once glorious Zelyrian armada had been reduced to broken fire in the sky. Aralya stood silently before the window, watching the destruction. For the first time in her life, she felt something she couldn't control. Fear. "Who is he?" she whispered. Commander Vareth answered quietly. A human, Princess, but not an ordinary one. Aralya's hand trembled as she touched the glass. Then I'll find out what he is. Before he destroys everything we are, outside. The last human ship vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind only silence and the bitter taste of defeat. And far away, Captain Elias whispered to his crew, She'll come again. Let her. The galaxy needs to remember what humanity can do when pushed too far. The war was far from over. The halls of the royal palace on Zelyria were quiet. The usual hum of music and light chatter had vanished. Every corridor was lined with guards, their faces pale from what they had seen. The loss at Vega Prime had shaken the entire empire. Princess Aralya walked slowly through the grand chamber, her armor scratched and darkened by battle. The council waited for her arrival, nervous and whispering. When she entered, all voices stopped. The High Chancellor bowed slightly, his voice trembling. Your Highness, we have never seen humans fight like this. Their ships are invisible to our scans. Their tactics, unpredictable. Aralya's gaze was cold. Unpredictable doesn't mean unbeatable. Princess, another advisor said. They destroyed half our fleet with fewer than 20 ships. If they come for Zelyria itself, they won't, she interrupted. Because I will find their leader before that happens. Her voice carried through the chamber like steel. But inside, her thoughts were filled with confusion. How could one man lead such destruction? Who was Captain Elias Grant, and how did humans rise so fast? Later that night, Aralya stood on her balcony, staring at the twin moons. The stars felt different now. No longer symbols of control, but reminders of how fragile her empire had become. Vareth joined her quietly. The scientists have studied the human wreckage we recovered, he said. Their ships are built from materials we've never seen. The energy readings are beyond logic, she repeated. Yes, it's almost as if their technology is alive. It adapts in real time. Aralya turned to face him. Alive technology? Vareth nodded. And there's more. The data core we found contained encrypted messages, fragments of something called Project Genesis. It was hidden deep in their systems, Aralya frowned. Find out what it means. If this project gave them that power, we'll use it too. Vareth hesitated. What if it's not technology, Princess? What if it's them, the humans themselves? She looked back at the stars. Then I'll break them to understand them. Far across the void, aboard the human flagship Valkyrie, Captain Elias Grant stood before a holographic map filled with red and blue lights. The red were human fleets spreading quickly. The blue were alien territories, shrinking every day. Commander Reyes, his first officer, approached. The Zelyrians are regrouping, sir. They're preparing for a counterattack. Elias nodded. Good, let them. We need them to come to us, Reyes frowned. You sound almost calm about this. I'm not calm, Elias said quietly. I'm ready. He stared at a small glowing marker, the Zelyrian capital. They still don't understand what they're fighting. Reyes folded her arms. Do you think she'll come? She has to, he said. Aralya's pride won't let her hide behind her throne. He turned toward the massive viewport where a blue nebula shimmered in the distance. She thinks this is about war, but it's about survival. And she's already losing. Back on Zelyria, Aralya entered the military archive, a vast chamber filled with records from every war her empire had fought. She scanned the data screen, searching for any mention of humans before this conflict. The files were few and simple. Primitive species. Low threat, she frowned. How did they go from low threat to unstoppable in less than a decade? As she looked deeper, she found something strange. Reports from an old Zelyrian expedition to Earth. Her ancestors had visited humans centuries ago, observing them secretly. The final entry ended abruptly with a single line. Do not provoke them. They adapt faster than any known race. Aralya stared at the words. Adapt, she whispered. That's their secret. She didn't notice Vareth entering behind her. Princess, the fleet is ready. We've located their base near the Helios belt. She closed the file and turned. Prepare my ship. I'll confront this Captain Grant myself. Alone? With enough power to end this war. Days later, her fleet emerged from hyperspace near the Helios belt. The view was breathtaking, glowing rings of dust and light surrounding a dying star. Human signals were detected within the asteroid field. Aralya stood at the bridge window, her hand resting on her sword. "Send a transmission," she ordered. To Elias Grant. A few seconds passed. Then a voice answered, calm and deep. "I was wondering when you'd call, Princess." Her eyes narrowed. "You've caused enough destruction. This ends now." "Ends?" Elias said. "It's only beginning. You came here thinking I'm your enemy, but you don't understand. This war was never about power. It's about what's coming." "What are you talking about?" There was a short silence, then his words cut through the static. "You think humans are your problem, Aralya, but we're the only ones keeping something far worse from reaching you." Before she could respond, her scanners went wild. Massive energy readings appeared at the edge of the system, something neither human nor Zelyrian. Her officers shouted warnings, but Elias's voice came again, steady and cold. "Now you see it too. The real enemy." Outside, a vast shadow moved across the stars, something ancient and alive with eyes like suns. Aralya stared in disbelief. For the first time, both human and alien realized they were not alone in this war, and the galaxy itself was about to burn. The space around the Helios belt trembled as the unknown force appeared. From the darkness beyond the asteroids, enormous shapes began to move, silent, heavy, and glowing with strange golden light. At first, Princess Aralya thought they were asteroids, but then the light shifted, forming patterns like veins through living flesh. The scanners couldn't read them. Every attempt to identify the creatures failed. The Zelyrian sensors screamed errors in red symbols she had never seen before. "What are those things?" shouted one of her officers. No one had an answer. Then a transmission broke through the static. It was Captain Elias Grant. "You're looking at the reason we came to your borders, Princess. We call them the Vor'kaal." His voice was calm, but beneath it was something heavy, the tone of someone who had seen too much. Aralya turned to her communication screen. "You expect me to believe that humans started a war just to fight these monsters?" Elias replied, "We didn't start it. We tried to warn the Council 2 years ago. They ignored us. Now the Vor'kaal are awake, and they don't care who wins your little empire games." As if to prove his words, one of the creatures released a beam of pure light. It passed straight through an asteroid, cutting it in half like paper. The shockwave slammed into both fleets, human and Zelyrian ships alike. Shields flickered. Engines roared. "Defensive formation," Aralya commanded. Her ships moved fast, spreading in arcs, but the enemy's light beams kept coming. One by one, Zelyrian cruisers exploded in waves of silver fire. Elias's voice came again, urgent now. "Listen to me, Aralya. You can't fight them head-on. Their weapons drain energy. Every time you shoot, you make them stronger. Then what do you suggest, human?" She shouted back. "Let me take command for now. My ships are built for this." Aralya hesitated. The pride in her blood screamed no. But watching her fleet break apart under alien fire, she clenched her jaw and said quietly, "Fine. Show me what humans can do." Elias smiled faintly on the screen. "You won't regret this." He turned to his own crew. "Valkyrie Squadron, maneuver Delta formation. Bait them into the radiation field." The human ships moved like lightning. Small and fast, they darted between asteroids, drawing the enemy closer to the Helios belt's glowing storms. As the Vor'kaal followed, their energy beams began to flicker. Aralya's eyes widened. "The radiation is disrupting their weapons." "Exactly," Elias said. "Now fire low-frequency EMP rounds at my signal." Together, human and Zelyrian ships opened fire. The explosions were silent but brilliant. Flashes of blue and white lightning across the void. The creatures screamed, a sound that vibrated through the hulls of every ship. For a moment, the stars were filled with light. Then the largest creature split apart, burning in silence before fading into nothing. The rest began to retreat, vanishing into the deep shadows of the nebula. The sudden calm felt unreal. The battlefield went quiet. Aralya exhaled slowly. Her hands were trembling. "We won?" Elias shook his head. "No, that was only a scout wave. The main swarm will arrive soon." Her heart sank. "How soon?" "Days, maybe hours," he said. "They feed on energy. Every weapon you use gives them more power. That's why humanity left its colonies and came here. We needed to find someone strong enough to help us." Aralya stared at him, torn between pride and disbelief. "You could have asked for peace." He looked straight into the screen. "Would you have listened?" She wanted to argue, but she couldn't. Her empire had crushed every weaker race that begged for mercy. She knew he was right. For a moment, silence filled the bridge. Only the faint hum of the engines could be heard. Finally, Aralya said, "If this threat is real, and I see now that it is, then we fight together. But know this, Captain, if you betray me, I will destroy you myself." Elias smiled faintly. "Fair enough, Princess." Their fleets moved side by side now, once enemies, now uneasy allies. The wreckage of the first battle floated between them like ghosts. Later, as the ships repaired damage, Aralya sat alone in her quarters. She replayed the battle footage again and again, watching the humans' movements. There was something different about them, something beyond logic or training. They reacted before things happened as if they knew the future. She whispered to herself, "What are you really, human?" Meanwhile, on the human flagship, Elias stood in the command bay, looking at a sealed black case in the center of the room. Inside, dim blue lights pulsed like a heartbeat. Reyes approached carefully. "Are you going to tell her about it?" "Not yet," Elias said. "If she knew what powers us, she'd destroy us before helping." Reyes looked uneasy. "She deserves to know." He stared out at the stars. "She will, and when the time comes. For now, we need her army alive." Outside, the fleets drifted through the glowing dust of the Helios belt. Two civilizations that once hated each other now faced the same darkness. But in the silence beyond the stars, something vast was moving, hundreds of golden eyes opening slowly, one by one. The Vor'kaal were awakening, and the galaxy's real war was only beginning. The human and Zelyrian fleets floated together in uneasy silence above the glowing Helios belt. The wreckage of destroyed ships drifted slowly, their lights fading one by one. For the first time in history, the proud Zelyrians and the stubborn humans shared the same battlefield and the same fear. Princess Aralya stood on the bridge of the solar spear, watching human engineers connect power lines between ships. Their technology was strange, built for function, not beauty, but it worked faster than anything her empire had ever made. Commander Vareth approached quietly. "Our systems are stable again, Princess. The humans repaired 3 cruisers in half the time our crews required." Aralya didn't look away from the window. "They fight like machines and build like gods. What drives them, I wonder?" "Fear, perhaps," Vareth said. "Or desperation." Aralya's eyes narrowed. "No, it's something deeper. They have a purpose we don't yet understand." Across the void on the human flagship Valkyrie, Captain Elias Grant watched the same scene from his observation deck. The Zelyrian ships gleamed like silver blades, elegant and cold. The humans' own ships looked rough beside them, but together they formed something stronger. Commander Reyes joined him. "The princess still doesn't trust us." "She shouldn't," Elias replied. "But she will once she sees what's coming." Reyes glanced at him. "And if she never does? Then humanity fights alone again." His tone carried no anger, just quiet certainty. Later, both leaders met face to face through a secure hollow channel. The air between them crackled with tension. Aralya crossed her arms. "Your people fight well, Captain, but your secrets are dangerous. You said there's something worse than the Vor'kaal. Explain." Elias paused before answering. "Project Genesis." The words made her tilt her head slightly. "Your people mentioned that once." "What is it?" "It's not a weapon," he said. "It's us," she frowned. "You mean humans?" He nodded. 200 years ago, Earth discovered something in deep space, an ancient signal buried in a dying star. It wasn't a message. It was a pattern. We used it to evolve our technology, our minds. That's how we grew so fast. But the signal wasn't meant for us. It was a warning. A warning? Yes, about the Vor'kaal. Aralya's heartbeat quickened. "You mean these monsters have been known for centuries?" "Longer," Elias said quietly. "They destroyed civilizations before ours. Project Genesis was humanity's attempt to change, to become strong enough to face them when they returned." Aralya studied him closely. "Then you changed yourselves?" Elias's eyes glowed faintly blue for a moment. "Some of us did. We merged with the pattern. We became something between human and machine." Vareth, listening nearby, whispered, "He's not fully human." Aralya ignored him. "So that's why you fight like you know the future." "You see it," Elias didn't deny it. "We predict patterns. Nothing mystical, just data and instinct combined. But the more we use it, the more we lose what makes us human." A silence stretched between them. The princess could almost feel his conflict through the screen. Finally, she said, "If what you say is true, then your transformation came with a cost." "It did," Elias replied. "We saved Earth, but we lost half our people in the process. Now we're trying to make sure the same thing doesn't happen to your world." Aralya looked down, thoughtful. "I once thought humans were reckless and weak. Now I see that weakness makes you unstoppable. You adapt because you must. And you fight because you believe you're born to win," Elias said. "Maybe together, that's what the galaxy needs." For the first time, Aralya smiled slightly. Perhaps. Hours later, the fleets began training together. Human soldiers taught Zelyrians how to fight without reliance on energy weapons. Zelyrians showed humans how to use ancient plasma blades that could cut through anything. Laughter slowly replaced tension. Trust began to grow, but deep within the Valkyrie, alarms suddenly blared. Reyes rushed to Elias's console. "Incoming signal, Vor'kaal transmission encrypted." Elias frowned. "Put it through." The screen flickered. A voice low and inhuman filled the room. "We see you, human. We see your allies. You cannot hide behind the light forever." Then static, Reyes whispered, "They know where we are." Elias straightened. "They always did. They've just been waiting for us to gather." Across the channel, Aralya's voice came through. "What's happening?" "They've chosen their next target," he said grimly. "They're coming for Zelyria." Her heart froze. "My homeworld? Then we take the fight there," Elias said. "Together." That night, under the silver glow of Helios's dying star, Aralya walked alone through the docking bay. She watched human engineers fixing her ships, their hands moving quickly, their eyes determined. For the first time, she didn't see them as lesser beings. She saw them as warriors born of struggle, unbreakable, unpredictable, alive, she whispered softly to herself. Maybe the universe chose the right species to stand against the darkness. Far away, Elias looked out at the same star. His mind replayed the message, the alien voice echoing like thunder in his thoughts. He knew the Vor'kaal wouldn't just attack Zelyria, they would consume every system in their path. He clenched his fist. "Then we'll show them what humans and aliens can do when they fight as one." The stars shimmered, as if listening. The war was moving to its final stage, and neither species could survive alone. The twin suns of Zelyria rose over a world preparing for its first true war in 1,000 years. The proud cities that once shone like jewels now stood wrapped in defense shields. Every spaceport was filled with soldiers, ships, and fear. Princess Aralya watched from the royal balcony as her people moved in silent determination. Giant cannons were built into mountain ridges glowing with blue power. Fighter wings filled the skies. The air hummed with engines and tension. Commander Vareth joined her. "All fleets are in position, Princess. The human ships are orbiting above the northern hemisphere. Their captain says they're ready." Aralya nodded. "Good. Let them see what Zelyria looks like when we stop holding back." But even as she spoke, she felt the heaviness in her chest, the calm before something vast and terrible. In orbit, Captain Elias Grant stood on the bridge of the Valkyrie. His crew worked fast, linking human and Zelyrian systems together for the first time. Energy readings danced across the monitors, unstable but powerful. Commander Reyes looked uneasy. "If this fails, both fleets will burn." Elias answered quietly. "If we do nothing, the planet burns anyway." She gave a small nod. "Then let's make history." Moments later, the first warning came. Space rippled. Thousands of golden portals opened near the edge of the system like wounds in reality. The Vor'kaal emerged, living ships the size of continents, their bodies glowing with swirling patterns. Their eyes shone like dying suns. Every radar, every scanner failed at once. The energy they released crushed the signal bands. "Visual only," Elias ordered. The human and Zelyrian fleets turned their cannons toward the darkness. The battle for Zelyria had begun. From the ground, the sky looked like fire. Blue and gold streaks crossed the heavens as ships clashed. The sound of thunder rolled across continents. Aralya stood inside the command tower, giving rapid orders. "Redirect power to the planetary shield. Focus all cannons on the lead creature." Dozens of plasma beams shot upward, striking one of the Vor'kaal leviathans. For a moment, its golden hide cracked and bled light. The Zelyrians cheered, then the creature screamed, and the sound tore through their minds like knives. Several soldiers fell, holding their heads. Aralya gritted her teeth. "They use sound as a weapon. Vareth replied through static. Their frequencies disrupt neural links. We must fight blind, manual systems only. Above, Elias's fleet moved into formation. Human warships flew close to the creatures, firing low-frequency pulse bombs. Each blast caused short bursts of darkness in the enemy's glow. Keep them off the atmosphere, Elias shouted. If they breach the shield, the planet's done. Reyes yelled. Captain, we're losing the lower sectors. Then we go down there ourselves. He jumped into his dropship with a team of armored marines. The ship roared out of the hangar, diving toward the burning skies of Zelyria. Aralya's control tower shook as part of the defense ring exploded outside. The blast lit the horizon. Her communicator flashed. Elias's signal. Princess, I'm landing near your southern city. We'll hold the breach point. She grabbed her plasma blade. You'll have backup. Don't take too long, he replied. Her guards tried to stop her, but she ignored them. She boarded her own silver strike craft, the Starlance, and shot into the air. Flames and smoke filled the sky. When she landed beside the human squad, the ground was black with ash. Buildings lay broken, glowing from heat. Elias turned as she approached, his armor cracked but his eyes steady. Didn't think you'd actually come, he said. I don't let others fight for my world, she answered, drawing her blade. Together they charged Vor'kaal drones. Smaller but vicious swarmed the ruins. Humans fired energy rifles while Zelyrians used blades of plasma light. Every move was chaos, metal, smoke, and screams. But something strange began to happen. When Aralya and Elias fought side by side, their weapons resonated. The air shimmered with blue energy, bending around them. Every swing, every shot grew stronger. Elias noticed it first. Our weapons are sinking. Aralya parried a blow and shouted back, Then don't fall behind, human. Their combined power cut through the enemy ranks. The ground trembled as the last drone exploded in a flash of golden sparks. For a brief moment, the battlefield fell silent. Elias looked up. They're pulling back. Aralya followed his gaze and froze. Above them, the largest Vor'kaal Leviathan opened its mouth. Inside was not fire, but a growing sphere of light. A weapon large enough to erase continents. Elias touched his communicator. All ships, target that core. Everything you've got. The fleets obeyed. Beams of light and missiles filled the sky. The explosion that followed turned night into day. The creature's body split apart, raining molten fragments. But the sphere of light didn't vanish. It fell faster and faster toward the planet. Aralya whispered, It's going to hit the surface. Elias's eyes hardened. Not if I stop it. He sprinted toward his dropship. She grabbed his arm. You'll die. He looked at her calmly. Maybe, but so will everyone else if I don't. He climbed aboard, sealing the hatch. The engines roared. The dropship shot straight toward the falling light. Aralya shouted after him, Elias! The ship vanished into the clouds, a streak of blue fire heading for death itself. High above, the glowing sphere expanded like a newborn star. The Valkyrie's crew watched in silence. Then through the static, they heard his voice. Project Genesis. Activate. A pulse of white light consumed the skies. For a moment, Zelyria disappeared in brilliance. When the light faded, the falling sphere was gone. The Leviathan's body broke apart, drifting lifeless through the atmosphere. The planet was saved, but there was no signal from Elias Grant. Aralya stood beneath the quiet sky, smoke curling around her. The humans and Zelyrians looked upward, waiting for something, anything. Only silence answered, she whispered, her voice trembling. He saved us. And above them, the stars flickered once, like a heartbeat fading into the dark. The war wasn't over. But something far greater had begun. The world of Zelyria lay in quiet ruin. Smoke rose from the mountains where the Vor'kaal's fire had struck. The twin suns looked pale through the thick gray sky. For the first time in her life, Princess Aralya felt the strange silence that follows after surviving the impossible. Her armor was cracked. Her hands were burned, but she didn't care. All she could think of was the human who had vanished into the light, Elias Grant. The name echoed in her mind again and again. Any signal? She asked, standing inside the command tower that barely held together. Commander Vareth shook his head. None, Princess. His ship disintegrated in the blast. Even the wreckage is gone. Aralya turned to the main screen. The entire southern sky was still glowing faintly blue, as if the light refused to fade. He went into that, she whispered. And somehow he stopped it. The humans call it Project Genesis, Vareth said quietly. Perhaps this was its true purpose. Aralya's voice dropped. Find out everything about it. If he's alive, I want to know where. Days passed. Human and Zelyrian forces worked together to rebuild. The war-torn capital became a field hospital for both species. Engineers mixed languages and tools, learning from one another. For the first time, the two civilizations shared laughter instead of fire. But Aralya couldn't rest. Every night she stood on the highest balcony, staring toward the northern sky, the place where the explosion had burned brightest. One night, as the moons rose, a faint signal reached the solar sphere. Static filled the room. Then a broken voice whispered through. Aralya, if you hear this, I'm not gone. Her heart froze. Trace it, she ordered. Vareth's hands moved quickly. The signal's unstable, but it's coming from orbit, inside the remnants of the Vor'kaal body. Prepare a shuttle, she said. Moments later, her ship cut through the thin clouds and rose into the silent night. Stars glittered over the wreckage floating in orbit. Huge fragments of the Vor'kaal creature drifted like black islands in space. Aralya's shuttle entered the glowing debris field. The light there was soft, almost alive, threads of energy moving like slow lightning. Vareth's voice came through the comms. Be careful, Princess. That radiation is unknown. I'll be fine, she said. He's here. I can feel it. Inside the wreckage, she found it. What looked like the remains of the human dropship. The hull was melted, but a faint blue glow came from within. Aralya stepped through the broken doorway and stopped. Suspended in midair, wrapped in light, was Elias Grant. His armor was gone. His body seemed half solid, half energy, his veins glowing with the same blue hue as the explosion. His eyes opened slowly when she approached. Elias, she whispered. He smiled weakly. You came. What happened to you? I became part of it, he said. The Genesis core wasn't a weapon. It was a link to the pattern that gave us our evolution. When I activated it, it fused with me. She looked around. The walls of the ship shimmered when he breathed, as if reacting to him. You're not human anymore. Not entirely, he said softly. But I'm still me. Aralya reached out but hesitated, afraid her touch might burn him. He noticed her hesitation. Don't worry. It doesn't hurt. She placed her hand gently on his shoulder. The light under her palm pulsed warmly like a heartbeat. He looked into her eyes. The Genesis pattern showed me something, Aralya. The Vor'kaal were not born. They were created. Long ago by something else. Something waiting beyond our galaxy. Her breath caught. You mean, this wasn't the end? No, he said. It's only the beginning. The Vor'kaal were scouts. The real threat is still coming. But there's hope. Hope? The light didn't just change me. It changed everything it touched. Zelyria, humanity, both have been marked. We can evolve together now. We can fight them as one. Aralya's voice trembled. Then you'll lead us again? He smiled faintly. I can't go back, not the way I was. I'm part of the network now. I can guide from within the stars. Her eyes filled with tears. You saved my world, Elias. You saved all of us. He shook his head. We saved each other. The light around him brightened. His form began to fade, slowly becoming one with the glowing debris. Wait, don't go, she cried. He looked at her one last time. Tell them this. Humanity stands with Zelyria. Forever. Then the light burst outward, flowing through space like a wave. On the solar sphere, Vareth watched in shock as energy readings spiked across every system. The wreckage lit up with blue fire, spreading through the orbit until the entire sky shimmered with new constellations. Princess, he shouted through the comms. The pattern, it's rewriting the planetary field. Aralya's voice answered, calm and strong. It's not destroying us. It's healing us. The light spread across the world. Cracked shields repaired. Dead forests began to glow faintly with life. Even the damaged ships powered back on. When she returned to the surface, the people of both races stood together under a blue sky reborn. A human officer approached her. What happened out there? Aralya looked upward. He became part of the stars, and now he watches over us. That night, the two moons of Zelyria turned silver blue, brighter than ever before. Some said it was just reflection. Others swore they saw a figure made of light standing among them. And across every screen in every ship, a single message appeared, 3 words glowing softly in blue text. Still human, always. The war was over, but a legend had just begun. A year had passed since the battle for Zelyria. The scars of war were fading, replaced by towers of light and hope. Across the once broken world, human and Zelyrian banners flew side by side. Two species that had once been enemies were now one force, united by the sacrifice of a single man. Princess Aralya stood on the balcony of the rebuilt royal citadel. The morning suns painted the horizon in gold and silver. Her reflection shimmered on the polished glass as she looked toward the stars, the same stars that had taken Elias Grant from her. Behind her, Commander Vareth entered, carrying a datapad. The last human ship arrived from Earth this morning, Princess. The new joint fleet is complete. They await your command. Aralya turned to face him. She no longer wore royal robes but light armor marked with both human and Zelyrian symbols, a symbol of unity. And the name of this fleet? She asked. Vareth smiled faintly. They're calling it the Genesis Armada. The name sent a warmth through her heart. Fitting, she said softly. He would have liked that. In orbit above Zelyria, hundreds of ships hovered silently, forming the largest combined fleet the galaxy had ever seen. Zelyrian cruisers gleamed like silver blades beside the darker, angular shapes of human battleships. Together they looked like a wall of light ready to face the stars themselves. Inside the command room of the Solar Spear, now the flagship of the new alliance, human and Zelyrian officers worked side by side. Screens flickered with data from dozens of systems. A young human technician called out, "Princess, the deep space scanners are online. We've mapped 3 more sectors beyond the Helios belt." "Any sign of the Vor'kaal?" she asked. "None, ma'am. But we found something else. Massive energy readings moving from outside our galaxy." The room went quiet. Everyone knew what that meant. Aralya looked at the glowing star map. Beyond the edge of known space, hundreds of golden signals pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat waiting to strike. "They're coming," she said quietly, just as he warned us. Later that evening, she stood alone in the observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly before her, calm yet full of hidden danger. She closed her eyes and remembered Elias's last words. "Humanity stands with Zelyria, forever," she whispered. "You kept your promise. Now it's our turn." The soft hum of the ship's engines filled the silence. Then a faint sound, like static, echoed from the communication console behind her. She turned. The screen flickered, showing a pulse of blue light, forming words she hadn't seen in months. "Aralya, you're ready now." Her heart stopped for a second. "Elias?" she whispered. The voice came through again, faint but warm. "The pattern still lives. I see everything through it, the stars, your people, all of it. You're not alone anymore." Tears filled her eyes. "We thought you were gone." "I am and I'm not," he said. "The Genesis core connected me to the network that shaped life in this galaxy. I can guide you when you need me. But the war isn't over yet." She stepped closer to the screen. "Then we'll fight together. Just like before." The light pulsed once more like a heartbeat. "You will. And this time, you'll win." The signal faded, but the glow lingered, gentle and steady, as if the stars themselves had heard him. The next day, the Genesis Armada prepared for departure. The engines of hundreds of ships flared like miniature suns, casting blue light across the surface of Zelyria. Millions watched from the cities below as the fleet began to rise. Aralya's voice came through every communicator in orbit. "People of Zelyria, people of Earth, once we fought for pride. We fought for empires and names. But now we fight for life itself. Humanity showed us what courage means. Today we carry that flame to the edge of creation. Together we face the darkness." Her words echoed through the stars. "Let them come. Let them see what happens when humans and Zelyrians stand as one." The entire fleet responded in one united voice. For Genesis. For the Alliance. As the fleet accelerated into hyperspace, the stars stretched into lines of light. From far away, it looked like a single streak, bright, blue, and eternal. On the surface below, the people of Zelyria gazed upward. Children pointed at the sky, watching the glowing trail vanish into infinity. Somewhere beyond the stars, the faint voice of Elias Grant whispered through the cosmic winds, "Still human. Always." And the galaxy remembered that once, a single human stood against empires and monsters and changed everything. Far beyond known space, in the endless dark between galaxies, something vast began to stir. Golden eyes opened, thousands of them. The old enemy had awakened once more. But this time the light of two civilizations burned together, stronger, brighter, unbreakable. The legend of the human star had only just begun.